So check out on YouTube here for these legs. If you want to see some legs, check out.
You know what I'm saying?
Buddy.
Quick bass and some legs. You know what I'm saying? Welcome once again to Chill Filtered, the podcast where we drink whiskey so that you don't have to, but you probably should. You probably are. Hey, that's why we like you. We're back. We're back to business. We got Brian here. We had some amazing episodes with some of our guests, including Ben Klepsig, including Colonel John Hughes, and Mia Alba. She's fine with me messing it up if I messed it up, but she told me how to pronounce it actually, and I did a decent job on the podcast. Don't remember if I did a decent job now. Hey, here's a way you can support us. There was a way I was thinking about earlier. I was like, that's a great way to support us. I've forgotten this way. Nope, don't remember it, but subscribe. That's a great way to support us on YouTube's. And I think that's it. And then subscribe with that bell. You know what they're saying? You know, like where it like tells you, hey, there's an episode today. Big difference between subscribing and being that bell subscriber. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's the business for this week. Yeah, Brian, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back.
Yes, good to be back.
It was fun with the co-hosts, and it was actually a great time. But there's something to connecting with you because we've connected for a while now, and happy to hear that life has changed. So tell me all about it.
Yes, life has changed. Yes, and I really enjoyed the episodes that you did. That was really fun watching Ben and John and everybody. Love the view out Ben's back window, man. That was beautiful. It feels like he must have a little barn on his property. I think
it's right off his property. It's his neighbor. I think that's cool. So. Yeah.
Anyway, looks great though. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, life has forever changed. We welcomed to the world Emma Willow Rapp. So
Emma
Rapp.
That's
is
great.
Finally her name. I will still call her Chickpea about 50% of the time, though.
That's me.
That's definitely been going on. We are a big time nickname household. So
nice.
Chickpea for life. But yes, her real name is Emma. So that was everything went well. Everything went as expected within the realm of what is expected, nothing, no surprises, no anything bad or
no
scary
passing out
or crazy
in the delivery room.
No, not on my sake or hers. So we all did well and everything. Nice. I can't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast, but I originally was thinking I was gonna try to catch the baby. Fathers will go and be the one to receive the baby.
It's terrifying.
So
what if you missed?
In the moment, I know, right? I was for weeks, I was sweating. Like, man, can I do this? Like the pressure and like, what if I drop her and blah blah blah. And in the end, I decided not to do it, and it didn't even come down to like worrying about dropping the baby or anything. It just came down to like where I wanted to be in the moment, and I wanted to be up. I wanted to be up with Sam. I wanted to be because helping her through the pushes. Fortunately I realized it well ahead of time too, when the contractions were like starting and everything. And I leaned over to the doula that we hired, and I was like, hey, I don't want to do the catch thing anymore. Like when it comes down to it, and she's like mid push, I don't want to be like, well, see you later. I'm going to go down here now and catch the baby. So that was good. I really enjoyed it.
It's funny you say that, because I remember making that same decision, but I forgot that I made that decision since then. But I was like, oh, I remember making that same exact decision.
Yeah. And I didn't want to have to it'd be like, okay, the dad wants to catch a baby now, so doctor, get out of the way.
It's like awkward, if anything.
It didn't feel the way that it should be. So anyway, but it all went well though. Everything went great. Round of applause for Sam for pushing a baby out, man.
That hard.
Was just
How long was delivery?
Actually, how long was delivery? It wasn't that terribly long. She did not. Man, I'm just totally blanking. I don't remember how long she labored.
Was it like at least or no more than 5 hours?
I don't. Man, I'm just completely blanking. I'll have to
I
tell
don't
you
know
in the
either.
next episode. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
man.
cannot remember. But she did, like when it was basically baby time, her
Uh-huh.
epidural gave like the 1 hour warning on the
Uh-huh.
on the drip. It was like, you only have about an hour of this left. And
Yeah.
the doula and the nurse like looked at each other and they were like, whew, that was perfect timing.
Uh-huh.
So
That's great.
she almost ran the epidural out at least. So if that
Heather
maybe
ran
somebody in
hers
the
out.
medical field, Heather ran hers out.
And they actually recommended taking it away because they're like, we don't feel like you feel the push enough. And they were
Yeah.
starting to get worried. So they took
Yeah.
it away. And then Gray came out so quick she didn't even have an epidural.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah,
Do you
so
remember how long the labor was with Gray?
with Gray, it was like negative amount of time. There was one push.
Oh, wow.
Because with Gray, she was underweight and they told me that like the baby wouldn't be ready until at least like 10 a.m. and the baby came out at 5:45. So I wasn't even there for it
Dang. Yeah,
because of
that's
that.
right.
But Bex we got to the hospital and she was like decently dilated at that point. Like they were like, you should have come in earlier, but Heather was like, I just didn't want to be turned away because that's like a thing. Like people will say, you're
Yeah,
just not ready yet. Go back home and come
totally.
back when you're but then we were there from like 3 or 4 p.m. till 11 p.m. where Beck was born.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about Emma. Tell me all
Yeah.
about her.
She I think number one, she grunts a lot. She just she's always
Grunter.
grunting. She's always going
It'll pass. But it's
so
weird
cute,
at
though.
first. You're like, are you okay? I remember when
I
Gray
know.
was born, I was like, I just don't know if she's okay. So I don't want to like relax about those sounds. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever felt that.
I never was worried too much. It just like
Mhm.
everything seems like such an effort, like she has like no muscles, I'm sure. And
Yeah.
like, so when you sit her up to burp her, she's like,
Mhm.
she's got the arms flapping and she's just like, but then when I think the cutest thing is when she gets a burp
Mhm.
out, the arms go down, they just flop down and she goes,
Mhm.
and
Oh, how
just like,
cute.
just a big sigh. Just when she
Oh.
gets super relaxed after like a big burp comes out, like her like chest and shoulders sinks down and her chin goes up. So she's just like, ah.
Oh, that's so cute.
Anyway, man, I like, how much do I want to gush on the podcast? That's
Oh
not why
yeah.
people are here, but everything's been going really well.
That's great.
We've been having to figure out a lot of stuff.
Totally.
The funniest one was
Mhm.
the first time that we tried to use a bottle, like neither of
Mhm.
us like
Oh,
knew.
it's different.
And
Yeah.
like, of course, we washed it and we put it back together. And I
Mhm.
opened it up and I put milk in there.
Yeah.
And then when I closed it back up and like I tilted down and like nothing was coming out. And like it was like 2 a.m. when we were
Mhm.
like, well, let's try with the bottle. I don't know. It was one of those kinds of nights.
Yeah.
And the nothing was coming out of the bottle. I couldn't figure out why. And I'm like, it's tilted down. Shouldn't like the milk be like filling the whole like nipple area on the front?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and then like 10 minutes later, and like we're giving it to her and she's like sucking the hardest she can and nothing's coming out. And
Oh.
we realized we'd left the little stopper in there. We had no idea.
Yep.
We'd never assembled a bottle before. So there was a
Yep.
little like plug in there for like the travel like seal.
Oh, that's funny.
So that was a classic 2 a.m. freaking out, trying to figure out. And I say freaking out, but like Sam and I are reasonably
Yeah,
calm.
yeah, yeah.
We don't get
Mhm.
like super spun up.
Yeah.
Nothing anywhere close to the point where either of us are like upset with each other kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like we're pretty good
Mhm.
about not. I think I get a little more frustrated than she does,
Mhm.
where like I will be like, I have tried everything. Like
Yeah.
this baby just I think needs a fresh set of hands, and
Yeah.
like I'll hand her over to Sam, and then just like Sam will start doing something. Poof, perfect, done.
Mama's touch.
Yeah.
But not to say you're doing a poor job or anything like that. Sometimes I would
I
actually
do all right.
yeah. Like there were times where I was like, "Come on, I'm supposed to be a good dad," and you can't
Right.
judge yourself. But I
Yeah.
would often. I'd be like, she bonked her head on my time or on my watch, and
Yeah.
now I'm a terrible dad. And it's like all these.
Exactly.
A lot of it has to do with a lack of sleep.
Yeah. Right.
So how's that been?
So lack of sleep was the number one thing that I was worried about, because Sam and I love sleep, and we
Yeah, totally.
always, we'd always get 8.5,
Yeah.
9 hours,
Mhm.
because we'd just go to bed at 8:30 or 9 every
Yeah,
day
yeah.
and wake up at
Uh-huh.
6 or whatever. Um, so we knew that going in, and
Mhm.
actually it hasn't been too bad
That's great.
yet,
Mhm.
because I'm on paternity leave,
Yeah.
Sam's still on leave,
Nice.
and we can do the feeds through the night, and
Yeah.
then do the 6 a.m. feed, and then go back to bed, and then
Yeah.
wake up for the 9 a.m. feed. So essentially sleep until like 9 with the
Mhm.
with the feeds through the night and
Yeah.
everything, and that's been working out well. But when the time comes that I gotta do the 6 a.m. feed, but then wake up and go to work and get to work by like
It's
8,
hard.
that I think
Mhm.
it might hit me differently then. And lately, um, weird balance lately with figuring out
Mhm.
how much to feed her, how much she wants,
Totally.
how much she actually
Mhm.
needs, and noticing the correlation where when she eats more, she sleeps longer. So like,
Ooh.
and she's eating so much. Like
That's good.
the rule of thumb was like 3-ish ounces every three
Mhm.
hours. And then maybe around like the 2-month time frame is when they're like 4 to 5 ounces when they're around
Uh-huh.
2 months. She's not
That
even a
girl's a
month yet. And
4-ouncer.
she crushes 5 ounces.
Whoa, get it, Emma.
Not even kidding. And like a week ago is when she
Mhm.
kind of stepped up. We were like, well, let's try another ounce. Let's do four
Yeah.
ounces. She'd sleep for 4 hours after a four
I
ounce.
see a correlation.
I know she was sleeping 3 hours after a 3 ounce, and now we're giving her 5 ounce. She doesn't quite sleep for 5 hours,
Yeah.
but she still goes. She'll go like 4+ after a 5 ounce
Wow.
bottle. So we're figuring out, how much to feed
Yeah.
and
I
blah blah
mean, what
blah.
we were
But
always told is like feed them till they're done, and then
right.
they'll suffer the consequences in a good way.
Right. And
So,
before we step up and give her more, we'll
mhm,
come on, girl, you had 4
mhm,
ounces. Like, hold it,
yeah,
let's settle down for a sec. Let's sit here for 10, 15 minutes. And then after 15 minutes, she's still macking with her mouth and
yeah,
all hand to
mhm.
mouth and everything. It's like, girl,
Oh
all
yeah.
right.
Hey, I'll give you some hope too. There are not that things are bad, but everything's a phase, especially for the first year. It's like everything. I mean, it continues on besides that, but it's more
Mhm.
personality things usually. But like everything, like if you're having a rough few weeks, just know that those rough few weeks will transform into something else eventually. And
Yeah, for
and
sure.
yeah, but that's awesome. So glad to
Yep.
hear her name on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
love so we had our list of names, man, and we were
mhm,
all back and forth, and we were even thinking about it just like yesterday. Like,
mhm,
can you imagine if we had named her whatever? And it was like,
yeah,
nah, I can't even imagine. And I love, short names, easy
mhm,
names. She's got
yeah,
to sign this name the rest of her life. Like
yeah,
EMMARAPP is just like so like easy.
yeah.
I really like it.
And shout out to one of our favorite listeners, Willow, who was named after. No, I'm kidding. Or who Emma's middle name was named after. No, I'm joking.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
But shout
Right.
out to you, Willow, because you're one of our favorite sub 10-year-old listeners out there. She's like
Yeah.
6 probably these days, probably
Oh,
older.
nice. I tell you what we really liked about Willow is
Hmm.
the whole deal with willow trees,
Yeah.
surviving really windy areas, and the wind will blow these willow trees so strongly, and
Hmm.
the willow trees will kind of bend
Hmm.
to the wind,
Yeah.
and they will like, so you can almost tell which way the wind blows by looking at the willow
Oh.
trees, because over
Hmm.
time they've been blown one way so much,
That makes sense.
that go with the flow, and that like, even in the face of all this wind, you don't get knocked down and go with the flow. We really like that
Yeah.
willow idea, because Sam and I are pretty go with the flow people.
That's cool. I love that. Yeah. We just named Gray's middle name Victoria because we're like, all right. It was like day before. Like we were driving up to the hospital and we're like, all right, we got to figure this out. We were between Alexandra, but that would give her a initials GAS, which Heather didn't like.
No, I wouldn't have done that. Yeah.
And then, and I really like the name Alexandra, but, and then we were between that and like Madison, and then Victoria, but Beck's middle name is Virginia, so it's another V multiple syllable name.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's just not do Alexandra because of the gas. And Madison was good, but we were like, we just like Gray Victoria.
Yeah.
Seabald. Yeah.
Nice.
So.
We were playing our own names for so long, so many months, and after our first big round, one of the top candidates was Charlotte. We really liked the name Charlotte, but finally I had the realization we cannot name this girl a first name that starts with C or even K, because it's going to be CRAPP or KRAPP. I know. I was like, nah, like her university login is going to be CRAPP at asu.edu or whatever. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that'd be a crappy name.
There you go. See, the jokes started already.
The jokes. But she isn't that. She is E-rap. No, it's not as cool. Not as interesting, at least.
In a good way.
In a very good way. Yeah, like, and the kids these days, they don't hold back. So anyway,
so wasn't it with you?
Bullies.
I mean, yes, I've had a lot of news and everything, but what you been up to?
So nothing much. Just, nothing's like crazy new, except Gray and Beck turned 1 and 3, which we might have talked about on the last episode you were on. Maybe not. No, because Beck had turned 3 like right before Emma was born. So probably didn't get that. But and then Gray turned 1, and Gray is walking and repeating a lot of things that we're saying now. So we asked her to say Papa, which is what both of the grandparents' dads go by, and she goes, Papa, and we're like, oh, it's so sweet when she says it. And she went in for her 12-month appointment at the pediatrician today, and she is in the 30th percentile, which is higher than Beck's percentile. But she eats so much. Gray does. Gray will eat anything and everything and a lot of it. But Beck is like super picky and like, no, I don't like. And we're like, you haven't even had that. And she's like, yeah, but I don't like it. I'm like, you can't say that. So,
speaking of percentiles, so Emma is 55th percentile weight. And 95th percentile height.
Get it? Yeah, you're taller than me, and Sam is pretty tall for a woman.
Yeah, I think she's 5'10", if I remember correctly. Yeah.
That's like average for the Seabald family women.
Yeah,
actually,
so she's a tall baby.
Yeah, that's great, dude. I've said this before. She's got really cute toes. You just like these little long toes.
I know. Yeah, the teeniest little piggies. Yeah.
And that's the funny thing is that I think I mentioned this to you and Sam, but Beck had these little toes that look like jelly beans, but Gray has these like long toes, and it's cute how every kid's got different toes. And then her middle toe will like do this thing, Gray's will, where it like dips below the others. I don't know what that is. Hopefully it's not a big deal, but it's kind of cute. Yeah,
nice.
But what are you entry buzzing on before we get into that thing?
Yeah, so I have a entry buzz and then I have a during buzz. Yeah, that's a new thing. Entry buzz is just something I was really excited to try here. I have a 13-year 126 proof something
close to me.
OBSK 4 roses.
Ooh.
So yeah, fancy there.
That is
it
nice.
is very good.
You don't usually see single barrels at that distillery going up to 13-year, so that's pretty dope.
But my during buzz is Stack. My old trusty 23B. I'm trying to crush now. Because now what we're drinking today, which I'm not sure we even said this. You'll say it more majestically later, but the Augusta Buckner's 17-year here, 17-year cask strength. I assume. I mean 117.8.
Gotta be.
Yeah, actually, 17 years is obviously way more than Stag is aged, but the question that Stag is so relatable to people, and
It
is it
is.
better
It's
than?
kind of a, can you beat Stag?
Yeah. So
Usually
is
the
it
question.
better than Stag? I will be doing that
Mhm.
assessment again today, just to give a general idea about where it stands in relation to Stag. But
Mhm.
I'll be doing that during the show.
That's cool.
Entry buzz
I
for
am
you.
entry buzzing on a older, higher proof bourbon, similar to what we're drinking today, and that is a Russell's Reserve 13.
I almost did
Oh,
that.
really? Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's a cast strength, 13 years. So, oh, look at that right there.
Why is this
But
always so
screw
hard?
you guys at Russell's Reserve, because you wasted much of my time with the
Yeah.
15-year release.
Yeah, you mean both 15-year releases?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
However many days later that was, they tried to do it again, and
And
then
it
it
was
was like even
worse.
worse.
Yeah. Yeah. The
What a
first
joke.
time I was like, I don't think I got a chance at this. So I gave up at a certain point. And then no, eventually I did see it was sold out. But then the second time I was in it to win it. And yeah,
Yeah.
I spent over an hour. And then there was a point where I told you, I was like, screw it, I'm out. And then like 2 minutes later, I'm like, yeah, but I'm at the checkout screen now.
I
And
know. Yeah.
and then I still didn't get there. So
I was, yeah, when you said you were done and then later you were like, I'm here now. I was like, yeah, I would do the same if I was in it
yeah.
right now. Like
Yeah.
I do not blame you at all for
Yeah.
saying you're done, but then not actually being done.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Russell's or Wild Turkey's like, you're done when we say you're done. And that
I
was
know,
what
right?
happened. So yeah, this
It's
one I
like
believe
they could do Wild Turkey could be like put a whole announcement on their site like, oh, we've got another drop of Russell's 15. There's
and then have
one
nothing
bottle.
there.
There's
Yeah.
one bottle for sale. If 10,000 people would like to log in and try to buy
Yeah.
one bottle, please, at noon
Yeah.
Eastern time.
Yeah. And make sure the buttons don't work 99.9% of the time. I'm
Ridiculous.
serious. I pressed that button, or I pressed buttons on that site. I could probably assure you over 600 times.
Ridiculous.
And I had it on my phone and my computer. I was like, click, 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 and it just nothing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, check out now. Oh, waiting. Oh, check out now. Waiting. Check out now. Waiting. Like it was like so terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe someone will share with us some Russell's Reserve 15 if they got some.
Hopefully.
But not expecting to get one myself at this point.
Yeah. And like, I think what is your general sentiment on the 13 real quick? Like, is it,
I love the 13.
love it.
I think this is, I think this is like really, really good bourbon to me.
Yeah, I can absolutely appreciate it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's well balanced. Let me at least caveat that with I've tried batches 2, 3, and 5. And I
I
think
don't even know
that
what batch this is.
you'd have to look at the laser code. It's kind of hard to see. It's in the bottom like centimeter of the bottle somewhere.
What will it tell
and
me?
It'll say LLJL, LLLE,
LLKE.
LLKHIJKLKE. So that's batch 3, pretty sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because LLJ is the batches 1 and 2, then the K is 3, and then LLLs are 4 and 5. Anyway, whatever. Batch 3 is good. Batch 5 is noticeably not as good.
Oh, interesting.
But batch 2 is like noticeably better than.
Have you had batch 1?
No, I haven't had batch 1.
So I've had batch 1. I went to Bourbon and Bones, and it was BTAC status to me, to be honest.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, batch 1 and batch 2 were batch 4 and batch 5 were the same. The same batch, but there was a glass shortage, so they were only able to bottle so much in April with the J or LLK. I don't know.
LL Cool J.
LL Cool J. Yeah, during that month
said knock you out.
They were only able to bottle so much, and then there was a glass shortage, and then they had to bottle the rest later.
Interesting.
But, yeah,
that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Speaking of crazy, what do you say we go for a quick walk?
Sounds good. Crazy walk.
All right. Crazy walk, like Crazy Train. Ozzy Osbourne. All right. We'll be right back after this Ozzy Osbourne. And we're back. Hey, great Ozzy Osbourne. We are drinking Augusta Distillery Buckner's Single Barrel 17-year. This is a batch 3 or a barrel 3. 117.8 proof. I'm going to pour it out. We're both going to pour it out.
Nice.
For the homies, homies being us, ahead of time real quick. So no cork pop here. This was, tell us about how you got this one, Brian.
Yes. So this is just a simple sample acquisition, simple sample. I got this sample from a buddy that shall remain nameless.
Nice.
And I was able to fire it off to Cole, and that's it. End of story.
Was that a full 2 ounces?
No, it's a 50 mil is 1.7.
Oh, that's fine. No, I'm cool with that. I was like, I feel like I didn't pour as much as I normally do, and it filled it up. So, all right, let's talk about history. All right. Quick shout outs, quick notes. Hey, Curtis and Katie Walks. We love you and we love your support on Patreon. And they have already received their goodies via courier, including the drink along samples. Yes, please.
Very good. Very good.
For them and their son, who shall remain nameless. And so thank you, Katie. Thank you, Curtis. You guys are a team. And hey, suddenly even more beautiful.
Never thought it was possible.
No, yeah. I mean, you can't outdo perfect, but you can. So yeah, Augusta Distillery. We're drinking Buckner's 17-year single barrel bourbon, Kentucky straight. Am I right? This is our first feature of Augusta Distillery on the podcast. Newish, at least around 6 or so years old as a distillery. Personally, I don't know if I've ever really heard of them until recently. So let's get into some history of the distillery. Augusta Distillery, Augusta, Maine, Augusta, Wisconsin, Augusta, Georgia, Augusta, New York. No, Augusta,
Kansas.
Kentucky. Oh yeah, there is an Augusta, Kansas. Are you familiar with Augusta, Kansas?
Not really, no.
But you knew there was one.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, Augusta, Kentucky. Located in what their website declares is the original Bourbon County, which I had to look up. I was like, okay, so Bourbon County is like basically the surrounding area of Paris, Kentucky. But I looked it up, and Kentucky used to be a portion of Virginia. Virginia used to be huge, and then they broke it up a little bit. So shout out to Virginia for being the overpowered once back in the day. But yeah, Bourbon County, Virginia used to be a larger portion of Kentucky. Basically, it used to encompass about 30 plus counties that now are counties of Kentucky. And so Augusta was a part of just south of Ohio River. It was a part of Bourbon County originally, but is no longer. I forget what county it's in now, but it's definitely not Bourbon County. Located on the border of Kentucky and Ohio, right on the Ohio River, about an hour east of Cincinnati, you will find a city called Augusta, Kentucky. And Augusta Distillery was started in 2018. There's not a ton of information on this distillery. Their website is kind of theoretical. And what I mean by that is it's very do you know what I mean by that?
Like not a lot of concrete information.
Yeah. It's we'll tell you about the general bourbon world. And I don't blame them. Like they're sourcing a lot of stuff right now.
My takeaway from that is, when somebody talks about a whiskey release and they're like, it pays homage to the heritage of blah, 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 blah. It's exactly. I don't care. Like that. Yeah. Tell me the facts.
That's not how it tastes or how it was made or anything like that.
Right.
No, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Theoretical. And if anything, their products are often much older than their distillery. So we can assume that everything they put out for now is sourced, at least from their Buckner's line. But from where is the question? Well, we know that at least one of their products, a 13-year-old bourbon, but likely most of their stuff. I'm just putting out facts here. One of their 13 years was from a Bardstown distillery. And knowing that it's a 13-year, it's not coming from Bardstown Bourbon Company. It's not coming from Willett. It's probably coming from either Heaven Hill or Barton. And they don't have another option out in Bardstown. But we do know that they are Kentucky straight bourbons, so it's not from MGP or Indiana or both at the same time. They have bought a still recently, though. So that maybe some of their own distillate will be coming in the future. And they even hired a master distiller, a female master distiller, which we love. It's great to see females in a male-dominated industry. And her name is Alex Castle. She was hired this year in 2024. She had prior experience at the Memphis Old Dominick Distillery. Do you know about Old Dominick?
I've heard the name once or
I've heard the name.
twice.
That's about it. Yeah. And I didn't even know it was in Tennessee or Memphis or anything like that. They do have a Buckner's 10, 13, 15, and 17 year. Of course, the price goes up substantially with each. Buckner's 13, get this. One of their single barrels got an award at one of our favorite awards things, and it was the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Was it gold? Was it double gold? Was it single gold? Was it any of the golds they hand to every single person? No, that's not true. But I will say this: if you get a silver at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, good luck selling it, because everything gets gold or double gold. So, like, if you got silver, I'm sad to say you didn't do well, or God forbid you were bronze. But anyway,
so what'd they get?
They got not a double gold, not anything like that. Much rarer. They got world's best bourbon last year in 2023. Yeah,
so that's what
some.
About a year ago. I think because of that, a buddy of mine, Jonathan, was excited to try it, and he was able to pick up a 13. And I know I got to try it. I know it was very good, but I don't remember that it like knocked my socks off relatively. I mean, I think it was just super solid all around, exactly what you'd expect, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm drinking BTAC right now. It wasn't like something crazy. So yeah.
And I don't even know if BTAC goes to the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. I wouldn't if I were Sazerac or Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, no way. Remember, I don't know if they do.
I just wouldn't want to tie with a bunch of crap whiskey.
Yeah. Well, that's what Nick Taylor himself was like. We don't submit our stuff to that anymore, because if they give us something less than last time, everybody's going to think like, what happened? When in reality, nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And one more thing too about San Francisco. I can't remember where I heard this, and it might have just been on one of the John Hughes episodes or Ben Buxtig, but something about how 25% of the people last year got double gold.
Yeah, it was like more than that, I want to say. Yeah,
I remember whatever the stat was, my brain was like, wow, so like a quarter of the entries get double gold. Like that's
like the highest rating you can get at World San Francisco. Like, so like everyone gets a trophy.
Ridiculous.
Sad. But anyway. But yeah, world's best bourbon. I didn't even know they handed out superlatives there. So I am excited to hear that. That they actually have some credibility of like, hey, someone decided this is number one. So Buckner's 17-year single barrel bourbon. We don't know much about this barrel outside of its barrel number 3, apparently. And it is a 17-year Kentucky straight bourbon. I would assume it's also from Bardstown, similar to the 13-year, but we don't know. It's from Kentucky. 117.8 proof. I am imagining it's cask strength, as we mentioned, but there was no mention of that from what I saw. But I'm hoping, that's right, I'm hoping that our love of hopenings lifted your spirits. I'm hoping that it's like a cask strength Eagle Rare, because like, dude, 17 years does a lot to a bourbon. It is very rare to get a 17-year-old bourbon. So here's the whatever you call it, here's the Ozzy Osbourne here, is that they've had another basically this is $400 is this single barrel's worth. So prep your minds. The bottle is expensive. And for that reason, let's sip. Cheers.
Cheers. Let me, so I just took a sip of Stag.
Oh yeah, you got to loosen that up.
Clink. Yeah, let me get a little water in here too. So I'm starting off with the nice tobacco cherry of Stag here.
So what do you think? Do you think it's going to be more like Heaven Hill? Or do you think it's going to be more like Barton?
I hope that
I know what I hope too.
I hope that this has complexity on the finish more than anything.
Yeah.
What is it going to take for this to knock my socks off? The finish of this needs to take me on a journey. It needs to have multiple layers, and it needs to require multiple sips before I can even figure it out.
What if the palate blows your mind and not the finish? What if it's like,
if the palate blows my mind, then like it'll be good and all, but it's the finish for me that truly differentiates something. It's the finish for me that makes something be held in highest regard.
Okay, before you sip, how would you describe Barton versus Heaven Hill juice, bourbon wise?
I don't drink a lot of Barton.
Same.
Early on, I identified Barton as a brand or a distillery that I don't really like very much.
Yeah.
There are a lot of harsh notes, and maybe a lot of the Barton juice I was having was younger aged, like 1792 full proof, comes off a little hot sometimes.
Yeah.
And I want to say, I'm going off memory from a long time ago. I get youth, heat, pepper, slight minerality off Barton, specifically 1792.
Yeah.
And I've also had the Costco releases, those Kirkland, like bottle and bond, single barrel. Those are actually pretty good. I think the 100 proof, the bottle and bond Kirkland one is pretty good. And it definitely is Barton. So like, I know it could be done right, but I just haven't had enough from Barton to make me want to. Whereas Heaven Hill has a lot more sweetness that I ever got from Barton, with kind of like a sweet, light peanut, a little bit of honey kind of thing from Heaven Hill.
Totally. Yeah, I would just describe Barton in general, not everything, but in general, as flat.
Oh, flat. Interesting.
Yeah, but this smells like a Four Roses to me. It doesn't really breathe Heaven Hill to me on the nose.
It does smell
I can't say it's Four Roses, but it might be. Heck, the 17-year might be a Four Roses.
It is delicate and fruity on the nose. Okay, maybe not like super delicate, but like there's not a lot of depth and heaviness on the nose. It's very noseable. I could almost do a Cole nosing on this one and not blow my nose out. Where like the primary thing that I get on the nose is a bunch of red fruits. And light oak, but just a lot more sweetness than I expected on the nose.
I think it's Heaven Hill.
Oh yeah?
On the palate. Yep. I'll let you sip first. But there is just enough peanutty and just enough oakiness and slightly fruity. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the better, what I expect to be Heaven Hills that I've ever had.
Yeah. I hope it's not my mind. I hope I'm not being swayed by what you said, but totally tastes like I hate to use the word smooth, but a smoother Elijah Craig. It's an Elijah Craig without any harsh edges whatsoever.
It is a little low for an Elijah Craig proof, though.
That's
true.
Think
about it for an 8 or 17-year.
But I mean, maybe that's how Augusta got their hands on this barrel, is because Heaven Hill had this barrel at the bottom of the rick house, and something about it just wasn't fitting the profile. So they sold it off to Augusta, who's now selling it for their own thing. It's like there's a world where an outcome like that. Anyway, this is super, super, super good on the palate. The finish doesn't exactly take me places. So this isn't blowing my mind as like a top tier whiskey, but it is very, very good, and it's incredibly enjoyable. I think if I had a bottle of this, I would run my way through it way too fast.
Yeah.
Whereas,
I'm with you
something
on
that
that.
was, I'm sorry, I totally keyed like I was done there, but no, one
you're
more.
fine.
Whereas like something super special, like a Eagle Rare 17 or a Saz 18 or something, like I'm going to savor that.
Yeah.
Rather than just like want to demolish it immediately, which is like, I want to demolish this immediately.
Yeah, but
Okay,
$400. Oh man.
I know, right?
Like, oh, great with water. Great nose with water. Yeah, I agree with you on the palate versus the finish. The palate is amazing, but it's not like it dies off in bitterness. It just dies off.
Yeah.
Very good. It does remind me of Four Roses, though, like almost a mixture between Four Roses and Heaven Hill.
Because it's a little fruitier than Heaven Hill normally gets.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't in general call Elijah Craig barrel proofs fruity. But Four Roses has pretty much always got a nice fruitiness to it. So I think it's somewhere between the two.
Totally. Tell me what you think about the oak. The level of oak.
So here's the thing. Yeah. Like you said, this could have been a lower level Elijah Craig barrel proof. Because the oak is not overwhelming here. And sometimes in Elijah Craig barrel proofs, it can be front and center oak. This is the oak is there, but it's not overpowering.
Yeah, I agree that it's not overpowering. And I think that it is one of the takeaways that, if a year from now somebody's like, hey, have you ever had Augusta Buckner's 17 year? I think one of the things that my memory is going to remember is that it is as oaky as I want something to be. The level of oak is a maximum. It's like maximum,
not too much,
pleasure level of oak. Yeah, not too much
pleasure. W oak.
single pleasure, single oak. It's perfect.
That's good.
Maximum,
but not
oakiness.
Single Oak Project.
Yeah, which I've never had before, actually.
Oh, bro.
There's one in our sample pool.
There is. I had this Fondia thought that I was like, I will never try that again, but I will. And actually, do you know that the Single Oak Project had a result to it? And that was barrel 80. Conclusion? Not only a conclusion, I want to say it's a 6-year bourbon. All the Single Oak projects were a 6-year, I want to say. And they maybe it wasn't, maybe it was higher, maybe it was like 8 or something like that, but they were all the same age. And the release, so they made a conclusion that barrel 80 was the best barrel, and many were great, but they said barrel 80 was the best, and they said we are going to replicate this, and if I could get any bottle next year in 2025, I want that bottle so bad. So they're replicating all of the experimental variables that went into barrel 80, and it'll be ready in 2025.
Wow,
so
that's cool.
If you're rich and you want to give Cole a really good birthday present next year, because it's gonna be rare and it's gonna be expensive on the secondary, and if you find it and you really care about me as a person, I will share it with you. That's what you get from sharing this with me. And maybe someone will just share a sample or something, but like, and maybe Sazerac will share a sample with us. But
I was really hoping what you were going to say was, if you really care about me, you will buy me this.
Yeah, that's what I really meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but many people care about me and they don't need to buy me stuff. But if you really care about me, no, I'm kidding. So anyway, Single Oak Project, that's my thing. It's 2025 is the year of release, apparently, for reiteration of barrel 80. And if I've had barrel 116 and barrel 15, and they both were top 10 bourbons I've ever had in my life, I can't imagine how good barrel 80's got to be.
I know, right?
All right. Really good nose, a little more potent on the water.
Nice.
But fruitier on the palate. I mean, on the nose, but the palate, give me a sec.
I did 2 of the world's smallest drops in my Glen here because I really wanted to go light on the water here.
A little bit of butter, like buttery, in a almost not exactly a toffee way, but definitely like buttery. oaky.
Man, I'm being
I
influenced
like it.
today.
I
Big
don't know
butter
if
on
it's
the
better.
nose.
Are
Now
you?
that now that you say butter, big butter on the nose for sure.
Butter.
It's
All right,
got this
I'm dropping a cube.
creamy, like you can
Creamy's a better
tell
word.
it's going to be thick and viscous on the nose.
I can't exactly say it was thick and viscous on the mouthfeel though.
Exactly what I was about to say. Like that doesn't really like show too much is in terms of viscosity on the palate, but like it's still heavy with flavor. Heavy.
Go ahead. I'll tell my ice nose soon.
So more oak tannins on the palate. A little more bitterness with water. The dryness of the oak comes out with water. Okay. A little less sweet, but like I really like that though. And the legs, like I did a big swirl on this.
The legs are crazy.
See these legs?
On
here. You see where?
They're holding on tight.
Yeah, look at that. Man, that's nuts.
Even my pour that I left on the table for a while had these long, take your time kind of legs. Yeah, look at that. I can see it very well. Yeah,
look at that. Yeah. So check out on YouTube here for these legs. If you want to see some legs, check it.
You know what I'm saying? Thick base and some legs. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, the dry oak here on the water pour, I actually still really appreciate, and I'm clinging tight to the Heaven Hill sentiment here. It feels perfect.
Yeah. On the nose with ice, it's very muted. The only notes that show up are fruitiness, like appley and berry fruitiness, but also a tiny bit of oak, but it's very muted. But I'm going for the sip.
Last water sip. I don't want to contaminate too much with ice here.
It's pretty good. There's a little bit of burn on the ice palate, but it is not ruined by ice, as I would expect most Elijah Craig barrel proofs to be ruined by ice.
Right?
There's a little bubblegumminess, which isn't super pleasant on the palate, but the finishes last longer on the ice pour to me than the neat pour.
Ooh, a lot of honey sweetness on the ice pour.
That's a good point. Honey sweetness.
I had just enough with ice here for one ice sip.
Nice.
I actually really like it with ice too, man.
Yeah, it's
but like, who the hell ices their $400 bottle of whiskey? But like, it's an impressively different experience with ice that is actually really good still.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I tried it with ice because
totally.
It's got a decent amount of bitterness, but like it's well balanced with sweetness at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with
still
that.
Really comes through. It is just, I think it's one of the best whiskeys I've had in a really long time.
Nice. Even like as the ice pour or as the total pour?
All in all, considering how good both three neat ice and water was, I think it's one of the best whiskeys I've had in a long time.
So I got a random question for you. Completely off topic. But I said the words earlier. I thought about it. You know how my ADD goes. I thought about the words, it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Have you ever turned down a free shot of
liquor?
You
don't. Like, no, it's bad juju to turn down a free shot. Yeah.
Okay, good. We're on the same page then.
Yeah, you gotta slam it because like how does that make the giver feel? The giver wants to give you a free shot.
The giver is generous, feels like they are giving love, and you are rejecting love if you
ruins the night for the person that you reject.
I don't think I've ever turned down a free shot.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, glad we got that out of the way.
Story that I won't completely tell on the podcast.
Partially tell.
I knew the shot that I was taking was going to have extremely adverse effects, and I took it anyway.
Nice.
Because
it was free.
It did have about 15 seconds later. No, actually, I don't mind Jaeger at all.
Goldschlager.
The weird crap liqueurs, so Jaeger and like Fireball and stuff. I can do all those all day, every day, no problem. But anyway, even with the knowledge that what I'm about to drink is going to adversely affect me, I'd take it anyway. So that's what you got to do. It's just what you gotta do.
Are you not going to explain what you did drink? Is that the partial you're not going to explain?
I think the moral of the story, or not, it's not a moral. There's no takeaway here. I think the takeaway of what happened was I knew that I was going to throw up when I took a shot, but somebody gave it to me, so I did anyway. And then
was it whiskey?
No, it was tequila.
Nice.
I had, as soon as I took it, I was like, this is what's going to happen as soon as I take the shot.
And then soon after it happened.
And then I walked straight out the front door of the bar. I walked straight around the corner of the building, and that was it. It all came right
makes your bile fall
off. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. No, it's just hard. Like, and I've been at, like, I was at a wedding not recently. I was a best man at a wedding 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, about 3 years ago. And I was, hit like me and the bartenders, because it was like open bar, and I was like, can't. I mean, open bars, let alone, like, you gotta call your limits there. But I was doing fine. Right. And I spread out my water and alcohol pretty well anywhere I go, except for that one wedding where I claim that I did get drunk for the only time in my life. But anyway, I'm at this wedding, and I forget what it was, but the here's what it was. I got really tight with the bartenders, and I was, sometimes when you're like, oh, you guys got that and that and that, and they're like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, so let's give him, let's share with them some good stuff. And so it was like I said, it was an open bar, but certain things were off limits. But they were like, hey, do you want to try this? For the free level, a lot of things were off limits, and I was like, heck yeah! So I downed a few with these bartenders, and they were downing it with me. And they gave me, I don't even remember what it was, but it was some sort of barrel-aged cocktail that they had. And they're like, try it. And I was putting them down. And, a lot of water to go with it. But anyway, it's hard to turn down a free shot. But I do have my limits. Like, if I'm driving, I'm not going to push it.
That seems like a different scenario than what I was imagining.
No. What I typically imagine is like someone's at the bar, they're like, "Hey, it's on me this round," and that's what I'm like, "Heck yeah, I'm in."
Exactly.
But that was a different story altogether.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So okay, let's think about rating. You probably have formulated yours already, but
yeah, I mean, I'm easily in A+ territory. I think that this is extremely good. You know what? I guess I'd say that this is near the bottom of A+, where it's in the highest tier. I mean, I don't think I've ever given out an A++ before. So highest tier A+. This is just perfectly well-rounded. There is not a single negative comment that can be said about this by me. I think the oak is there, the sweet is there, the bitter is there. All the different types of flavors are just there, and they're in balance.
Yeah.
The current theory is that it's Heaven Hill. Our current theory is that it's Heaven Hill, and
Heaven Hill already mixed with Four Roses.
No, yeah, they blended it. Sure, yeah. I love Elijah Craig. Barrel proof already. It's everything about this is right up my alley, and there's absolutely nothing bad you can say about this. So this is totally A+. And I care enough that I'm going to try to number score this.
Yeah.
I haven't number scored anything in a really long time, but this is 9.4, 9.5 for me.
Nice.
And in terms of just a perfectly made whiskey. I think that this is super, super solid. The only thing it's lacking is a
little bit more.
complex finish. That's the only thing it's lacking.
I think so. Originally, I was thinking through things, and I changed my rating, not by your, things, but just I kind of thought about it a little more. So originally, I had a 9.1 on the number rating. I think this is definitely Hubba What, very good. But what made me change my mind to go 9.2 officially, maybe even a 9.25. I'll go 9.25 on this one. Is the thought that this is the best Elijah Craig single barrel or Elijah Craig barrel proof I've probably ever had. I don't know if I want to count some of the pirate bottles that I've had back in the day.
Yeah. I wish I had entry buzzed on Elijah Craig barrel proof now.
I do too. Why did I think of that? I got 3 right there.
Maybe during the break here coming up, maybe we'll pour a little Elijah Craig barrel proof.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a very good product. And if it's not Elijah Craig barrel proof or it's not Heaven Hill Juice, who cares? But it's very good. Well aged, well oaked. The only thing that keeps me thinking this is Heaven Hill Juice is that Elijah Craig barrel proof is very oaky, and this is beautifully oaky.
Beautifully.
And it's older than any Elijah Craig barrel proof that ever came out. So who knows? But I love it. 9.25 for me, and A rating. I don't want to give it an A+.
Ooh, okay.
It's a high A. A.
It's like easily my. I can't remember having a higher sentiment about oak, about wood flavor.
Yeah,
this is just the pinnacle of oaked to me so far.
Yeah. But we don't rate based on price, but that $400 price tag is a little scary for me. I would never buy this for $400.
Right. Yeah, that's hard to swallow. I've never bought anything for $400. So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, no. I think the most I've ever spent was $300 on something. There's a rare character exceptional that was maybe like $280. I think there was something was $300 recently, and that was a tough pill to swallow, but got to do it for science.
I've only done a few. I've done a $290, but that was a secondary. That was for right here. Supernova. 2015 cool. SN committee release.
Dang, 2015.
Yeah, and that was worth it. It's empty now. That's the only bottle on this shelf that's empty. But then nice. This guy right here was actually retailed at $650 or $600.
That's right.
And was that worth it? No, but it was fun to have. And then I've had 2 older vintages of the seasoned wood was a little more, and the Eagle Rare 17 from 2014 was a little more than the Yamazaki 18. That being said, those are my only above. Oh no! I did buy a Redbreast 21 for $300. So those are the only ones that are above $250.
Yeah. That sounds about right though. My $300 one, actually my thumb right here on the YouTube feed, right there.
Oh, Brook Hill, baby.
Yeah. Oh, you can tell what that is. I didn't know how
great camera.
Fuzzy.
No, it's the red cap and black label, and it's next to the rare characters. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's that Brook Hill I think was $300 flat, and was it worth it? Actually, yes. Maybe, I think it was worth it. It's very, very good. This Brook Hill was very, very good. It's the Life of Lux Brook Hill. I'm not sure that every Brook Hill is worth it. I got to try one more. Thanks again. A second shout out to Jonathan Moore, but he had gotten another Brook Hill, and we tried them side by side one night, and the Life of Lux definitely won. Nice. But am I going to buy $300 bottles all day, every day? No. But sometimes you just have to for science.
You gotta for the science. What's your hypothesis? Speaking of hypothesis, I think it's time to move to our next segment of the show. We like to call Whiskey World News.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Whiskey World News. So today we're not going to read an article. We are just going to chat because it's been so long since Cole and I just chat about recent releases. So like a lot of stuff has come out in the last like month or so that I've been gone here. So I wanted to run a couple things by you, and I wanted you, Cole, to tell me what your general sentiment level is on each of these. So I want
bring it on.
Immediately, as soon as I say it, I want you to give me a 1 to 10 score of how interested you are in these.
Okay, cool.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Heaven Hill Grain to Glass Trio.
3.
Really?
I saw them all. Yeah.
Well, okay. So now tell me why? Why?
Because
so low?
it seems like a gimmick to me. It's like it's kind of like when Jim Beam did their grain John with the different grains. It's like I'm sure they're good, but I don't expect any of them to be mind blowing. It's experimental. Sometimes experimental. Like I said, Single Oak Project is blow your mind good, but usually it's not. Yeah,
totally fair. And like the general background around this one was like some C-suite level person at Heaven Hill like decided which like type of corn to use in the something, and like they like handpicked grains to grow in a certain area and in a certain growing period and blah blah blah. So like, and I did hear that the weeded one in general is held in higher regard than the other. And I will say Brian Duncan actually went ahead and picked up that weeded one on
baller
on my recommendation. And I'm sure he'll provide samples.
He will. No, I'm not ordering him to. I am saying that dude is so generous.
I know,
And if he doesn't, not mad at all, because he deserves to keep some of his own.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Wild Turkey Master's Keep Triumph 10-year rye.
Yes. 7 or 8. 7 or 8.
7 or 8. 10-year rye.
How much is it though?
Okay, so you didn't know how much it was.
Don't know how much it is. If it's over like 120, yeah, I'm out. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's like 300.
Oh, forget that. No, I'm out. And for that reason, I'm out.
Perfect. So they're charging an absurdly high price for a 10-year rye.
We don't know yet.
Don't remember. Cool. Don't remember. We will move on to the next one though. Are you ready?
Yes.
Elijah Craig Toasted Rye.
Out. 1. Their ryes are all right. Maybe 1 or 2. Heaven Hill's ryes are decent. Like you can get like a what is it? What's that one? Honey Notes, Green Label, or Pikesville. And it's all right. What was the setup again?
I didn't even know that Pikesville was Heaven Hill, but so it's a new release. Elijah Craig has a toasted rye. You know, Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. Yeah, they have a toasted version. Yeah, I know. Toasted barrel.
It's not even allocated anymore in Virginia.
Not at all. Yeah,
put on the shelf.
That was one of my bigger initial letdowns in my like figuring out what I like and what I don't like. Was that like hearing how hard it was to get and then finally finding it on the shelf and then buying it and then being like, really, this is what is allocated? Like, anyway, so toasted rye, I don't know. Toasted ryes have a soft spot in my heart because I really, really like the Michter's toasted ryes, barrel strength.
Those could be great.
But the Elijah Craig toasted rye is 94 proof.
Yeah, forget that.
So anyway, next,
if it had some age to it, it'd be cool, but I doubt it has too much age to it. Yeah,
no, not at all. Yeah, I'm sure that
maybe
it's
6 years.
Like standard Elijah Craig small batch kind of age statement. All right, scale of 1 to 10. E.H. Taylor barrel proof rye.
10.
And, I know, right?
And I have a feeling we're not going to get help from Sazerac on this one. Yeah, by the emails we got from them, I'm like, We're not getting lucky here.
Yeah, we didn't make the cut. She said, if we have any more samples to give out, we'll let you know.
Yeah, so it's the weird thing about Sazerac. Sometimes we get these crazy things from them, and then sometimes they're like, "You're not up to par on this one, like chill filtered." But hey, we love Sazerac.
I know, yeah, we do. They did send a sample to Fred Minnick, who did put out a YouTube video a couple days ago.
Was it
Have you seen it?
No. Was it better than Handy by far?
Yes. So he said it's better than your average Handy. It's maybe not as good as the best Handy, which I think he said 2015 was his favorite Handy of all time.
I've had 2014 Handy before.
So close.
It was good.
Nice. But yeah, he did say that he liked it a lot. So anyway, I'm sure it's great.
Did. Dang it. Come on.
I know, yeah. Wanted so bad.
Dude, that was the only thing I wanted this year. Next year,
that
it's
might
a different story. It's that Single Oak project. I don't even care. I don't care if we don't get BTAC. As long as we get that, I'd be happy next year.
For sure.
Yeah.
EH Barrel Proof Rye might be the number one thing I've ever wanted. Dude, like the highest level of like if I don't get to try this, I'm going to die. The number one thing is EH Barrel Proof Rye.
Oh, we'll try it. It'll just be expensive.
I know, right? Yeah, I got to keep an eye out when I see people in the Phoenix area saying like this bar has pours of it for $150. And I'm gonna have to just drive out there and bite the bullet. But next up, scale of 1 to 10. Next up, we got the Na Burai blend.
3, maybe.
3. So we got that upcoming and as a sample.
Shout out to
we'll get to try it.
Brian friggin' Duncan.
I think it's going to be good, but it's a $45 shelfer. So I think it's going to be a good $45 shelfer. Yeah. And
we got
lastly, scale of 1 to 10. Think real hard about this.
Okay.
Russell's 15.
8.
Yeah.
I'm still really intrigued by it because I do love Russell's 13.
Yeah.
And Wild Turkey products, I dig, especially when they get older. I don't love Wild Turkey 101. But once you get Russell's territory of their single barrels or their 10 years and stuff like that, I love those dark berry notes. But what people are saying is it's not much better than Russell's 13. So 8. But I still really want to try it.
That's what I hear too. So our buddy, Your Drinking Buddy on YouTube, he just put out a video this morning where he blinded Russell's 15 against 2022 Four Roses limited edition.
Nice.
William LaRue Weller.
Oh, wow.
And a 16-year aged Russell's, which I want to say, I'm just guessing here, was maybe a 2002 release or one of those Russells with the year written on them. I didn't quite understand, but he did say that it was a 16-year aged Russell's. And the Russell's 15 got last place.
Oh, good.
Russell's 15 got last even against the Four Roses 2022 LE and everything for him and his palate and everything. Yeah. But so I thought that was a really interesting video. So again, Your Drinking Buddy on YouTube. So check him out. Check him out. Awesome. So we will slide into What Whiskey Would You Choose?
Slide.
So thank you very much for keeping those results running while I was gone. Thank you very much.
Well, I doubled up on one episode. I'm like, I've read this before.
I saw that. It was cute. Don't worry. So what whiskey would you choose? So results from Ben Klepsig now.
What a
Which
baller.
Whiskey deserves a cult following? That was Ben, right? The second episode while I was gone. You did Hughes and then you did Klepsig, right?
Hughes did cult following as the presentation.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if I read. No, we might have read the cult following one. Yeah, we did read the cult following one.
I checked before we started recording. So I will now read which whiskey deserves a cult following. Which whiskey can you just not believe? Yeah. So the 2 votes here was Tin Cup 10 versus Sagamore Rye, and Sagamore Rye won 65% to 35%. Couldn't agree more.
God.
I love Sagamore Rye so much. They totally deserve a cult following. But we got some write-ins from some people. And number one on the write-in list just happens to be Bry Rapp. Who's this guy? He wrote in and he said, Wilderness Trail. I cannot believe Wilderness Trail does not have a cult following. We got 480
out in Danville, Kentucky.
Yeah, 480 whiskey says Old Bones.
Okay, I've never had Old Bones.
Oh, so Old Bones is sources.
I've seen them.
Yeah, and so
sometimes Canadian juice though.
Sometimes Canadian juice, that's correct. And like the older the age statement, the more likely it is that it's Canadian juice, especially obviously if it's rye. But yeah, I have a 10-year-old Bones that is MGP. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Cool. I think I put it up against the Redemption 10-year rye, and I think the Redemption still won, but you know, MGP, same kind of. Whiskey with Max says Hard Truth. He can't believe that Hard Truth does not have a cult following.
Nice.
We got B-Side, Bryce Morita. He says, out of this podcast circle, Delbach. He cannot believe
it's
Delbach.
True. Yeah. At this point, it's like it's still the case, but in my mind, they're huge. But they are huge, but they're huge in our podcast even more. So
that's true. That's true. And that's what he meant by that. And the by the way, Hard Truth, there is a sample of that, I think, in our sample pool.
Ooh. Maybe I'll get that on today's reentry buzz.
Oh, maybe we will. Madtown marketer Ben Klepsig himself says Westland or Kings County, and couldn't agree more about Kings County. So flavorful. A lot going on there with Kings County. Oh my gosh, we got a write-in from ADHD Whiskey.
Ayo.
So Mr. Matt Porter, ADHD Whiskey says Barrel King.
Hey, that's the name of his taste or what master blender knows. Yeah.
Perfect.
We love you, Matt. And thank you. Hope to try Barrel King. Hey, Matt, send us some and we'll give you some hard reps. Hard reps. We'll rep you hard.
Whiskey Drinking Panda says still Austin and Westland. Oh dang, doubling up on the Westlands here from Madtown Marketer and Joey T.
Yeah.
Paul Clarkson wrote in, says Chattanooga whiskey, so he loves that. Tennessee, right? Chattanooga.
I want to say, I mean, it makes sense. Sure. Yeah.
And Marco and AZ, of course, also in this podcast circle says Delbach. We love Delbach.
Dude, I remember the first time I tasted Delbach, I was like, what the crap is this? In a good way. Sometimes you say that in a bad way, but I was like, why have I not tasted this before? So
for sure. All right. So cool. All right. Next week.
Okay.
What whiskey would you choose? This week, what whiskey would you choose? I want you to get your wallet out. All right. You got your wallet. You got your wallet in your hands. You are about to fork over that credit card. Yep. You are about to purchase a bottle. I want to know how much is too much. I want to know what that level is. How much are you going to be okay with paying for a Russell's 15?
Like be okay with?
You gotta hurry up here.
Yeah. Tell me, 250 is like, what is retail? I wouldn't spend a cent more. It's pushing it on 250.
But you actually would. You would pay 250, yeah?
At this point where I found it's probably not better than Russell's 13, I would really be okay with like 180, 190.
Yeah.
But like 250 it'd be cool for the podcast and stuff like that. But yeah,
for sure. So yeah, I think my level here is also like 200. I picked up Russell's 13. Man, I hardly even remember what I paid for those, but like I almost wish I didn't. And like it's good for the science, and I like having tried it. I almost wish I'd tried it at a bar first, but so for a 15-year cast strength legacy distiller, I think I draw my line around 200, which is kind of sad because MSRP, like you said, is 250. They want more out of us than what we're willing to pay here. And And like stores here in the Phoenix area are trying to bundle it and or
Liquor
price it a little
Express, am I
high.
right?
I've heard about it being like 300 for Russell's 13. Like, so yeah. And I know you just held up your bottle. Any extra sentiment from you on this?
Just a shout out to Andrew and Melissa Loudon, who traded this for a stag with me, and I am
Oh,
very
how
grateful.
fun.
Yeah.
That was very, very generous. Very generous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And okay, so my question now for what whiskey would you choose? What we will have you write in for this week, dear listener, is please let us know if you were able. Now, like, obviously, I don't want to see some $2 write-ins. Like,
get those out of here.
Reasonable amount that a distillery could charge you for this that you would be actually willing to pay.
Yeah.
I want to see what that
and the
top
highest
end was
you'd be willing. Yeah.
The highest you'd be willing to pay for a Russell's
no higher.
15. Yeah, and no higher. And that's okay if it's less than MSRP, because I want to know where your sentiment level is at when you're bringing your wallet out to have to about to pay for this.
Hey, look forward to seeing you guys' results. So next week we're drinking something very special, a record breaker for Chill Filtered. The oldest whiskeys, that's right, both are older than anything we have ever dranketed on this podcast. This is the Last Drop Distillers, and this is Last Drop. One is a 55-year-old. Let's see, real quick. 30 or 55-year-old Tomintoul Distillery, Speyside. That's right, 55 years old. Like, if you add my age plus Brian's age and you subtract like 10 or so, or I don't even know, but like you're getting something crazy in Tomintoul. So Last Drop Distillers is a Sazerac independent bottler. And then we got a 40-year-old Augusta. That's a lowland. So crazy. Be prepared. We only got a little bit. We only got a tiny bit.
I know,
but we got a tiny bit. So we're excited to do 2 scotches.
We will sample that last drop. Yes.
Oh, the last drop of that last drop. Yep. So, Brian, I hope you sleep well tonight. I hope Emma sleeps well tonight.
Yeah, I know, right? I hope so too. And I hope that the listeners didn't forget that I was going to say that I was going to compare this to Stag and say, what's the sentiment here? Is it better than Stag? This Augusta Buckner's, yes, in my opinion, is better than Stag. I like how well-rounded it is. I think that Stag is more potent in certain ways and has harsh edges that can be appreciated and are delicious and punchy. But I think Augusta Buckner's 17-year is a better whiskey overall and well-rounded than Stag.
Nice. And I hope that I can beat you on the re-entry after this. But most of all, listeners, because this is what it comes down to. I think this last episode is what it comes down to this week. So, but most of all, listeners, I hope that our love of whiskey lifted your spirits. Suddenly, even more beautiful.
Never thought it was possible.
No, yeah. I mean, you can't outdo perfect, but you can.